Welcome back to a best of 5 series of top level StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a Zerg versus Terran between two absolute channel favorites. Actually, I should introduce the man right here in the bottom right hand corner first, because he's the new world champion of StarCraft 2, playing with the blue SCVs. We're looking at none other than Clem. His opponent, up in the top left-hand corner of Golden Aura, playing with the red Zerg drones. He's a previous world champion of StarCraft 2. I guess that counts, right? We should still consider that. Playing right here with the red Zerg pieces, we have none other than Reynor. Clem and Reynor. Two rivals for many, many years now. They came up right around the same time. And from what I've heard, they played an absolute banger of a series during the StarCraft 2 World Championships. So that's what this best of 5 is. I haven't seen it yet. But sadly for me, I do know who ends up winning it. Sorry, I have to be nosy. Second, no problem. I think the casters are too loud, a tiny bit. Working on it, ready. Interesting. So normally the way that this works at offline tournaments is the players will be wearing in-ear, like earbuds. Then they will have noise cancelling headphones on top of that are blasting. Not just active noise cancelling, but they also have like blasting white noise. And then apparently they could still hear some of the commentators. Well, glad that they got that fixed, because it would be a little bit annoying if you can... it's probably not even very noticeable what the commentators are saying, but it's suboptimal for sure, because you hear a little bit of noise in the background that it's not really what you are looking for. Anyways, this is of course from the $1 million tournament, so these players, they're gonna try their absolute best to not make any mistakes, and any distractions, well, they need to be denied as quickly as possible. Clem is gonna go for an SCV scout. I feel like he hasn't really been doing that many SCV scouts as of late. Maybe I'm crazy, but in some of the games I've seen the man play, he is just keeping those workers all at home. Reynor can be a little bit of a trickster. So maybe that's the reason why Clem is thinking, yo, I just want to confirm that this is indeed a spawning pool after the hatchery, rather than a, well, hatchery and, sorry, a spawning pool before the hatchery. So this could obviously be immediately some early game aggression. Luckily here for the Terran player, that is not the case. Reynor is, however, hiding a drone off to the left side of the third base. He's hoping that he's going to be able to make that third at a reasonable time. Reaper already comes in though, and is gonna start being an absolute nuisance. Not too much damage done yet, but this SCV, yeah, being obnoxious. What do you do right now with this drone? Do you go extra queens first? Do you go your fourth queen too? Do you use the... Okay, yeah, you use the natural queen to try and at least threaten this a little bit. The Overlord saw that SCV left, so Reynor does get the third base going, and ultimately this was a small delay by Clem. A small, well, delay on the Zerg's third base, but all things considered, not the end of the world, because obviously this SCV was not mining in the meantime. Alrighty, so triple CC. I'm assuming we're gonna see a starport in a moment, and then a starport into... It's a second factory. Oh, interesting. I was gonna say, we're missing a bunch of gas. Did he not, like, get the gas geyser? I was trying to figure out what was happening here. That is not the case. Clem is hiding a second factory behind the main base mineral line. Now, this used to be a build that was played quite a bit back in the day. At least if I think I know what this is. There used to be a strat where you go tech lab and then into... But I don't know if that really makes a whole lot of sense. With this setup over here, you would normally want the tech lab already building. This could be a Blue Flame Hellion opener? Yeah, it is a tech lab coming up right now. There's a second tech lab as well on that barracks, however. I wonder if we could have flown the barracks over there and then maybe made that for that factory already. But the problem is, obviously, if an Overlord comes and snoop on that, you will realize immediately as the Zerg that something is not quite right, because the barracks is missing. Okay. Oh, interesting. We're gonna go for the Cyclone upgrade. Well, this is a new build. This is not something I'm familiar with. So we've had Blue Flame Hellion variants of this strategy, where you start pumping out 3 Hellions at a time and you attack as soon as the Infernal Pre-Igniter upgrade is done. This is the Cyclone Speed buff. An upgrade that is rarely seen. Ever since they changed the unit, we saw Terran players mess around with it a little bit when it was first introduced into the game, but we haven't really seen it much ever since. For Clem to bring this out right now is really curious. So he's going to start pumping out a bunch of those Cyclones. He did still make a whole load of Hellions too. So 6 Hellions in total. 2 of them are at home for base defense and to deny any Zergling scouting. And then we have a bunch of them on the other side of the map just making this look all very, very normal. Now he did go for a tech lab right over here as well on the barracks, but that is not being used yet. What's throwing me off a little bit is that this is a triple CC opener for Clem. Meaning that the general goal for Terran, as he does start up Stimpack, is to play a macro game. Like, this is not usually the type of opener where you're going to be able to deal critical amounts of damage. But lately, the only times we ever see Cyclones is when they are being used as part of an all-in. And whatever all-in you're going to go for, well, obviously, if you have a third command center done, it's going to hit significantly, well, weaker. So it's, we have to keep an eye out. Hurricane Engines, it's finishing up right now. That is the speed boost for these Cyclones. It's been denied repeatedly, but now indeed Reynor is going to see exactly what it is he's going up against. And there we go. We got a little bit of additional fuel in those engines. They're going to go a little bit faster. Hurricane engines, as in Cyclones. Fun. Good one, Blizzard. Anyways. Can they actually get something done, though? That's my main question. So far, not bad. A couple SCVs are going down too, to a cheeky little Zergling run by. This is, of course, the Reynor special. Something he's been doing for a very long time. I don't think these Cyclones are going to achieve much. Like, yeah, they're doing a little bit of work. But 6 SCVs have gone down on the other side of the map. Unless he can really start picking off a lot of Queens, I don't think it's really going to be worth it. I'm a bit afraid that those Cyclones are going to get surrounded. Only 2 of them have gone down, a single Queen. So it's mostly just a dance. Ultimately, though, I don't think Cyclones are going to live for a very long time. Okay, now, most of the time, Terran strategies are very momentum-based, especially the way that Clem likes to play. Although, obviously, he's reinvented himself quite a bit. Has he done enough damage to continue the aggression right now? Well, Stimpack is done. There's no Medivac or anything like that yet. What in the world is this opener here for Clem? All of this is gonna get cleaned up, though. This is also, by the way, not hitting at a moment where the Zerg could potentially not have units, for example, because Reynor has essentially got 3-base saturation, right? Like, he's even made some extra drones. For the 4th, he's already gonna go into a 5th. He decided to go into a quick baneling speed upgrade, but that is the norm. So I don't think that is really something Clem is playing around. Curious little build right here from Clem to start off this series. But you love to see it. So ultimately, the follow-up is gonna just be good old bio tank. Let's see though, can these Banes get anything done? Nah, they're gonna be forced to roll the other direction once again. Clem is getting so confident in his Terran gameplay that, well, apparently he doesn't even feel the need anymore to play the normal starts, the normal strats. I don't think we're gonna see this build in another game in this series. I'd be very surprised. But it is cool. Nice splits right there by Reynor. Okay. My main concern, I guess, is that this leads to a very passive Terran follow-up. There's not really any timing attacks that Clem can hit from here. The upgrades are obviously late, the medevac production is late, we have barracks 6, 7, and 8 coming up. Like, all of it will look relatively normal, but all the timings are out of whack. So you can do some medevac dropping, but, like, look at this, for example. These upgrades, they're very late, considering we're almost 9 minutes into the game. +2 only just started. We're gonna go into the +2 armor as well. Okay, that's important. You can continue pushing, of course, if you're Clem, but I'm a little afraid that he's gonna get overwhelmed here. So the infestation pit is late for Reynor. That is likely going to work out very well for him, because he's essentially playing a mid-game Zerg army off of 85 drones. So the amount of Hydraling Bane the man can produce right now is significant. Ooh, okay, big Widowmine detonation over there. In the meantime, this section of the map, of course, is amazing for Terran. Can he get any of those Banelings to connect? Some of them do decently well. In the meantime, the Queens and the Zerglings that are reinforcing all of this, they're gonna clean up the tanks. Queens get transfused as well. Brilliant gameplay right here from Reynor. Very impressed. Clem's been smashing the top-level Zergs as of late. But Reynor is putting up a very good fight so far. So, he's gonna go Lurkers. He's gonna go into the Hive. He will be able to go into the, well, the upgrades here for those Lurkers momentarily. Let's see. Clem, in the meantime, by the way, secured the 4th base. I think it's probably a map-specific opener. Yeah. Since this is usually a passive map anyways, I can imagine that Clem is looking at this opener as a passive opener, even though he's in the opponent's face the entire time. Whoa, great Zergling splits. My god, Reynor did that so fast. 565 average actions per minute throughout this game. Here's Clem though, with triple-pronged aggression. He's got a medevac drop up north, he's got a medevac drop down south, and he's got a fight over here in the middle of the map too. Widow Mines are being split against, no pickup for them. Drop in the main base right now too. Okay, it's always a treat to watch these guys play. They're so fast. Now, we've seen a bunch of games lately where Clem is put in a position like this, where the game has been going decently well, but we can't really call it an advantage. I don't think you can really look at this game and be like, yeah, no, clear advantage right here for the Terran. From here, however, I have also seen a lot of games where you blink twice, you wait a couple minutes, and suddenly Clem is finding himself with a massive advantage. This seems to be the point in the game that Clem has really been working on as of late, where he makes himself look, incredibly dominant. So far, though, Reynor is having none of it. Yeah. So one way in which Clem usually achieves that, it seems, is by outpacing the opponent. So the idea is that you do a little bit of damage on one side of the map, you deny a bunch of creep, and then you come back a bit later, much closer to the hatcheries. So look, he's once again scanning here in the bottom left corner, trying to deny that creep spread. But every single time there's a little bit of creep denied, Reynor is immediately respreading it, and he's now even on the offensive. Reynor is thinking about taking down a command center over here on the right side. He's denying some of the mining over at the 4th base. Hydras are knocking at the front door. Reinforcing Zerg units are not used right now to deal with that drop, and instead he's going to try and send everything in. 12, 13 SCVs go down. A couple mules will land. Command center is going to go down as well on the right side. Now the reinforcing Zerg units are arriving here at that medevac drop, but Clem, he's not going to achieve too much with it. Okay. This is the first time in weeks that I've seen Clem struggle. I'm not even joking. I feel like I have not seen a single Clem loss. Like, not even a map. I think the last time I've seen Clem lose a single map is against MaxPax in one of the ESL weeklies. He's sweating a little bit, but supply-wise, everything's good. He had another command center that's now flying on over towards the 6 o'clock position. Okay, Queen is gonna go down. Great splits once again by Reynor, who's now also attacking with a group of Lurkers. Those were the Hydras from earlier on the right side of the map, and he's gonna try and see if he can, well, probably just walk those straight into the mineral line. Clem is currently distracted, and yeah, he's gonna see all of this. He's immediately evacuating. Very quick reaction speed. He only has a single ghost at this point. He hasn't really had the time to make that transition towards ghosts very effectively. Okay, it's enough for now. Oh, this could actually be a disaster. Clem is coming back home. He is splitting against all of those Lurker spines. You know what's even better than a concave? A circle. Woo! Brilliant positioning right there by Clem. Reynor thought, haha, gotcha now, buddy. And then he lost like, what, 9 Lurkers? 8 Lurkers. That was a phenomenal fight for Clem. Considering he didn't have ghosts, that is one of the most difficult units to clean up. And he did it using Marine Marauder Medevac. Nidus network. It's an idea, but 800 gas down the drain here for Reynor is something that is difficult to recover from. Clem is going to see the base over here in the bottom left. Yeah, and no cancel on that one. 643 actions per minute versus 519. All right. Just play faster, guys. I keep saying this, but if you struggle in your StarCraft games, just play quicker. It's actually insane. Like, I can feel pretty good about, like, 300 APM. 600? Oh, yeah. So, obviously, 600 actions per minute is 10 actions a second. It's a lot of buttons. It's a lot of keys that are being pressed, and Clem is once more getting this done. What an insane set of decisions here he's making against those lurkers. I have never seen Zerg late game units be less effective than in this game. And it's not even ghosts. Like, he's had a couple ghosts. He's only got 4 right now. It's nothing amazing, but everybody is on the hate train of the ghost right now in the StarCraft 2 universe, it seems. If you go to the StarCraft 2 subreddit, or, well, really anywhere where StarCraft 2 gets discussed, people are having a lot of calls as to why the ghost is overpowered. And you guys may be onto something. I do think it's a little overtuned, but my god. Is Clem making the Marine look OP, you know? A unit that really hasn't gotten any adjustments since like 2010. 15 SCVs go down though. Oh, this is actually turning into a banger of a game, because it's looked like Clem was dead, and then it looked like Reynor was dead, but now Reynor has once again struck back, and he evened up a lot of this. Main problem here is that Clem doesn't have a ton of mining. 62 SCVs is not that much. He's gonna go into the fusion core, fair enough. We have a Nidus Worm dropped off in a bit of an ambitious location. Zerglings try to fight whatever they can. Liberator transition's coming up. By the way, this is the SCV that originally produced one of those NG bays. He never got a hot pickup. He made an engineering bay. Removed the scaffolding on the right side here at last. And yeah, he's been living his life ever since. I guess it's a retirement for that SCV. Kinda nice. Kinda sweet. Drop up north. Nice council here. But important kill for Clem. Because even though Clem doesn't have a ton of income, Reynor also does not have that much. Is the APM still going up? I think for Zerg it did still go up a little bit. Jeez Louise. Now you gotta, as per usual, take those stats with a grain of salt. Because they do use a lot of repeat rate improvements and a lot of, well, held down keys in general. A lot of rapid firing on practically all the buttons. But this is still some extremely fast gaming. Okay. Lurkers are mostly here as a distraction. This ramp has been glorious for Clem though. He's been using this section of the map ever since Zerg took an expansion here. And it's been working out really nicely for him. Now Reynor is gonna go for what I consider to be the Serral special. No council on that base, but he does have an infestor nearby. And as we all know, the Terran players, they never go for a Raven! Good fungal growth. In the meantime, there's also some aggression still going on. Mostly just a distraction, it seems. 11 SCVs have gone down, though. Some of that damage, I think, is probably due to this bad boy. 33 confirmed kills on a single siege tank. Okay. And then, you look at the supply count. You feel like everything's been relatively close. And then the supply count is telling us the full story. Clem is oh, he's going back to Cyclones? Oh, that's curious. This game started off with Cyclones. We're going back to them, apparently. Huh. Anyways, Clem now has got a unit composition that you can be proud of as a Terran, right? He's got Liberators, he's got Ghosts, he's got Mines, he's got Medevacs, Marines, Marauders. He's got a little bit of everything. Some Cyclones, some Siege Tanks. This is, for all intents and purposes, a maxed out bio Terran. Whereas Reynor right now is finding himself with 160 supply. He's only got 2 Vipers. There are no Infestors remaining. These Lurker attacks, the ones that looked really promising earlier, are now starting to look very desperate. These fights on the ramp, yep, they are no longer defendable. So Reynor decides to tap out. Whew, and just like that, we find ourselves on Ghost River. What a brilliant way to start this series. I really thought Reynor was losing, and then I really thought Clem was losing, and then I really thought Reynor was losing, and then I really thought Clem, and then ultimately Reynor lost. But that was an incredible back and forth. Both of the players speeding up noticeably as the game went on. Curious to see if maybe Reynor can mix it up a little bit right here on Ghost River. Of course, that very first map, Golden Aura in general, it is very defensive. So that's why the Cyclone build really caught me off guard a little bit, because it was like a macro Cyclone opener, which is weird. We don't really see that. I also kind of feel like it's a unit that's great against, for example, Protoss, right? So we do have a spawning pool after the gas, by the way. No hatchery yet. Anyways, I feel like Cyclones are really good against Protoss because, well, Stalkers and Adepts and all the rest of it, right? Whereas Zerglings are just not the greatest target for a Cyclone to be attacking, but no, maybe Clem experimenting a little bit. Although then again, this is from $1 million tournament, so I don't think... I don't think it was really an experimentation. What you gotta keep in mind as well is that these two have a long history. I wouldn't be surprised if Reynor did a little bit of trash talking over breakfast. Something like that, you know? No, I'm sure he'll keep it nice, but he'll keep it civilized, right? But there's certainly some mind games going on that we can't quite look into, but a curious Cyclone build right there from Clem. I would be very surprised to see it again. I wonder how well it does against, like, Zerg all-ins. I would imagine against, like, a Roach Ravager flood, right? With Zerglings on the back of it. I would imagine Cyclones are going to be pretty good, but it's honestly hard to say. Anyways, why did we make... Oh, we're leaving 2 drones in gas as well. Why did we make the gas geyser first and then a spawning pool this early? That does mean that link speed is going to be much quicker. What's really throwing me off, though, is the two drones in gas. Are we going to go Baneling Nest? Because that's the norm. Usually, if you want to go... Usually, if you want to go into a Baneling Nest, you keep 2 drones in gas. At least that's what you used to do back in, like, 2011. Back when Reynor and Clem were, like, you know, they just learned how to write. So I don't think they remember that meta, but why are we leaving 2 drones in gas? No 3rd hatchery yet. No Roach Warren. Okay. STV is patrolling over at the 3rd base. So this will be something that Clem is picking up on as well. He will notice that Zergling speed is going to finish here. It's a lair. A 3-minute-ish lair. What can you do with a 3-minute lair? So he's making a bunch of links. Could be a Nidus play, could be a, like a Spire play, it could be a bunch of stuff. But I find all of that very mediocre. Queen drops are also technically an option. The main problem, right, if we want to do a Zergling-based opener, you need more larvae. Off of 2 hatcheries, you can barely, yeah, I think it's a queen drop. On 2 hatcheries, you can barely generate enough larvae to make Zerglings. So... his injects are gonna have to be perfect. I think we're gonna morph in 2 Drop-A-Lords and send the queens across. You can, of course, go for a, like an Overseer as well. So the cloaking field right now for these Banshees is not gonna be too helpful. Clem is a little bit confused, though. I love this little play. He may very well be putting his opponent right now on a Spire. Triple Drop-A-Lord coming up. It's really difficult on this map for Clem to see the gas. If he would see the gases, or the leg thereof, that would really that would allow him to really, like, narrow down the options. Okay. I think you should bring the queens. I was gonna say, I think the queens are a no-brainer. My main concern right now for Reynor is that he needs a lot more larva generation. Because he's not gonna be able to make that much off of the amount of larvae he's naturally gonna get out of these hatcheries. Okay, there's another Overlord Cocoon morphing in. He actually gets the surround on 2 Hellions. Here go the Zerglings in the natural expansion. Are we gonna go straight into the main base? There's Zerglings as well coming in from the south. He doesn't know what's in here. Imagine if it would be Banelings. Imagine if he was raining Banelings from the skies. Well, this is an absolute train wreck of a game right now. Very hard to read, but I think what we're witnessing here is a Terran player dying. He does need an Overseer, though, and the Overseer is now available. There's a random bunker in the main base. I think Clem was starting to feel that something was not quite right. Nice pickup micro here by Reynor. Really trying his best. Overseer comes back in. Considering this has been a double CC opener, yeah. Clem really didn't have enough stuff there. He ends the game with literally 0 SCVs and only 4 supply. I wonder what that game would have looked like though if Clem did not have his Hellions surrounded right before that attack. Just 2 Hellions there, roasting a bunch of Zerglings all the time. I think it would have made the defense significantly easier. I saw 2 of them getting surrounded, but it may have actually been 3. Maybe 4. Maybe 18, who knows? Although I'd be very surprised if it was 18. Curious little opener right there for Reynor. This time around, he once more mixes it up with a 15 hatch. 16 hatch, 15 hatch, 13, 12. What else are we gonna do, Reynor? I would imagine it was either 2 or maybe 4 Hellions. It kind of depends exactly on the order in which Clem was building his, well, his early game up. I was paying close attention to what Reynor was doing. Clem was doing everything relatively normal, but if it was indeed 4 Hellions, I think that attack from Reynor, with those 4 Hellions around as well, would not have worked. Anyways, sometimes you have to, yeah, flip up a coin and hope it lands in the way you want it to. Reynor decided to go for a bit of a tricky build there. There's about a 0% chance he's gonna do it again. Especially against a double barracks opener like this. I don't think you can really pull that off. Okay. Now, we have of course seen a bunch of different aggressions though on this particular map. The Serral games come to mind in particular. Serral going for the fast forward third, takes the rich gas geyser, and then does like a Ravager Zergling all-in. He usually also does a Queen drop to go alongside with it, and it is something that Clem is gonna have to keep in mind here. That's probably the reason actually why he's opening up double Rex. I don't think it's because it's his preferred strategy, it's mostly something that's real good at not dying. And not dying is usually a good strat. Highly recommend it. I've been playing Iron Man in real life ever since day 1. Ever since level 0. Been keeping it going for a while now. Ooh, don't lose the... Okay. So my question is, where is Reynor gonna be building the third? He hasn't actually sent anything out yet. So the thing is with this Reaper opener, we have triple Reaper only, but it's difficult for Zerg to know how many Reapers it's going to be. So usually Zergs will delay their expansion, their third base, unless they can get it real early. If you don't have it up yet by the time that the Reaper gets across the map, you can't really transition to it until you, well, deal with the Reapers. And you can see here that the micro from Clem has been excellent. In the meantime, Clem has already started up his own third command center. Factory coming up. It is a 4th Reaper, by the way, which is a little curious. I love those grenades. We're going on a little walk with Brenda. He's got the Queen on a leash. Oh, he's gonna sack the... No, he could have gotten it. I think Brenda is still very, very close to death. Yeah. Well, she got a bit of a transfusion right there. Okay. Now, link speed is not yet done, so this hatchery is not as secure as Reynor would like it to be. Queens are gonna run on over in this direction, but if Reynor is gonna be forced to cancel this... Okay. That is another 75 minerals down the drain. Okay. Yeah, Clem is playing some real good StarCraft. Understatement of the week. I think Clem is alright at playing this video game called StarCraft 2. No, honestly, phenomenal. Better Terran gameplay than I've ever seen. Just across the board, every matchup, Clem is looking insanely good right now. Apparently he's taking a bit of a holiday, by the way. Last thing I heard, he was spending some time, I think, in Greece. I think he tweeted about it or something. He's just hanging out. Make nearly $500,000. Spend a little bit of time in Greece. Not a bad build. An IRL build order, that is. Okay, so this is Clem trying to get rid of the Reapers, but doing so in the most obnoxious way possible. Yeah. Didn't really get a ton of value there, but he was still forcing some control right now out of the Zerg player. And most importantly, this hatchery was late. So I don't think you can really go for a Ravager rush anymore. Normal timing for the Ravagers would be right about right now. You'd want to hit on the other side of the map right about right now. So obviously that's not really an option. He did go Roach Warren, but he's also going in Lair. If he wants to go for an all-in, it's technically doable, but you usually want to hit before Stimpack is done. And, well, we don't have any Roaches yet, so I got a feeling it's not going to happen. By the way, because of the way that the club championships worked at the EWC, I don't know the exact numbers, but because Clem ended up becoming the world champion of StarCraft 2, Team Liquid effectively got into second place. And the price difference between, I think otherwise they would have been fifth? Somebody did a great write-up on this on Reddit if you're interested, but I think it was either fifth or second place with Clem winning. So if Clem would have gotten eliminated right at the very start, I think TL would not have done nearly as well. Anyways, he's also directly responsible for millions upon millions of dollars for Team Liquid as an organization. Which is not bad. Yeah. He should get at the very least a firm handshake from the team owners. I think that'd be nice. 8 drones, 9 drones. Counting with Lowko, 10 drones. Got one as well with this bad boy. 10 workers going down to some benchy play is incredibly nice. I think that's about the best case scenario. Ultimately, the benchy dies. We're not gonna have any memorial or anything along those lines. But she may very well be the hero that is gonna make or break this game for Clem. It's even up the worker count at the bare minimum. Second factory coming up already. I'm not really loving this game here for Reynor, if I'm being honest. It's very much so Clem who's in the driver's seat and who's just dictating everything. And it's very much so Reynor who's forced to defend against all of the things Clem. This is a bit of bullying right now. Yeah. Yeah, this may very well be breaking the StarCraft 2 community guidelines here, man. We have bullying gameplay here from Clem. Every time Reynor does anything, Clem is immediately there to just be a jerk about it all. Oh, you spread some creep? Oh, it'd be a shame if something were to happen to it. Oh, you built a spore crawler? Oh, nice hatchery you got there. Shame if something were to happen to it. Ay. Even stuck around with a couple more of those Marines on the ground for a second longer just to finish the job. Now, if I have to be critical, this armory is late. Clem washed up, confirmed? Okay, no, okay, fine. No. But these upgrades probably should have started up a few seconds earlier. What a noob. Reynor's doing a great job, though, holding on. I think a lot of Zerg players that Clem will encounter on the ladder would have already died by now. Because this is quite difficult to defend against, right? Like, if you don't do a good job, or you don't do... Like, if you don't continue playing the game, so you can't just stay alive. Like, Zerg cannot play survival at this point. You have to continue playing for additional tech, for additional economy. Just staying around for longer is not the goal. So the goal right now is to build up the economy whilst also building up the tech. So the Hive is researching right now. Very important upgrade, or a very important structure, of course. Lurker Den is coming up. And he's gonna need the gases really, really badly of the 4th base. This is the reason you need a 4th base. You need those gases. Defending with just Roach Ravager or Roach Hydra is doable. But then ultimately, you will go down to the maxed attacks from Clem. Because Clem in the meantime is going siege tanks. There's barracks 6, 7, and 8. Gonna go into the +1 attacks for those siege tanks too. Planetary Fortress in the middle of the map. Rich Vespian Geyser is going to be sweet. Men with Gun once again. Goes after the Roaches and the Ravagers. I'm not loving this position for Reynor, but if he can get up to a bunch of Lurkers, and he can actually start getting some expansions going, life is going to be sweet. In the meantime, though, there is a drop in the main base. It just killed the spawning pool. The Hive is going to be next. Push in the middle of the map, too. Takes care of the third hatch of the Zerg player. We do see those Medivacs now once more forced to retreat. Reynor just realized he lost one of the spawning pools, so he's forced to go back in. In the meantime, Clem is also pushing here at the front. Normally, we see Terran attacking when 2-2 is done. Now, again, if the armory was perfectly timed, I'm just saying. Oh, no. Dude, rip off the Band-Aid, Reynor. Hit enter, type the G's. This is a painful game for the Zerg. Clem will love playing this. I mean, maybe he can pick it up. Yeah, he can clean up these units. Okay. If Reynor wins this game, I'm gonna lose my mind. Like, I'm getting tilted just looking at the position that Reynor is in. let alone playing it. Okay. So, this was just the first step in the Terran master plan. Now everybody's favorite unit is coming up. We've got Siege Tank production, we've got 3-3, and the Ghosts. 4 at a time. He's still pushing over here as well. Does he have enough firepower? He sure does. Another hatchery dice. There's another expansion over here, Clem. Clem, you can pick that one up for free. He didn't know that it was there. Another command center is flying on over towards the 3 o'clock position. And that one will probably grow a nice little planetary fortress hat on top of itself. And that'll make the defense significantly easier. Okay, now Reynor did manage to keep this expansion alive. If he can make, I think it's probably, like, his plan is probably just to make, like, one big army and try to hope for the best. I mean, he still has 75 drones. Despite all the hatchery losses, the drone count is still good enough. He's going triple expand because of it. He wants to find those drones a little home. 10 siege tanks now. 10 siege tanks. And 8 ghosts. GLHF, Reynor. Let's see what we can do. First off, big run by towards the right side of the map. Hatchery in the middle is certainly going to go down. In the meantime, we see some pew-pew-pews going down on the Lurkers. Since there's a planetary over here, Reynor decides to run by it and go straight into the natural expansion. And you know what? This is going to hurt. Siege tanks are coming back home. But Clem is also pushing in the meantime. Oh my god, that siege tank shell was really quite nice. A lot of splash damage being done. I think it may have been one of the bad boys on the low ground. Additional tanks show up. One of the ghosts is going to be kept alive too. This nice little run by is going to get cleaned up, even though it's a bit sketchy. Lurkers over here in the meantime in a natural expansion. But that's also where the lurker den is located. So those lurkers on the ramp are the last ones. Reynor, he has to tap out. He did not stand a chance right here on Crimson Court. Next up, we find ourselves on Oceanborn. Crimson Court. Incredibly well done right there by Clem. I really don't see much room for improvement. That was... Other than the armory? Okay, no, I can forgive that one. Other than the absolute minor details, Clem just played what was close to a flawless game. Great macro, fantastic micro, and just... He went for one of those strategies where your only option as Zerg is to play a long game, right? There wasn't really a way for Reynor to deal significant amounts of damage in the early game. Clem specifically opening up with that Reaper start to make it impossible for Reynor to go for an early game all-in with, say, for example, like a Ravager push, right? Like the one that I was trying to... Oh, well, this was a little mistake. Did he actually make 2 Reapers? Why did we make 2 Reapers? This is a single barracks opener. So rather than going an extra Marine, we decided to go an extra Reaper? That's a little bit funky. Anyways, obviously Reynor could have gone for the build that he went for on... What was it called? On Ghost River. The one with the Queen and the Zergling drop, but... Yeah, no. I don't think I like that. Doing that sort of strategy back to back, I don't think it really works. Okay. Now this Reaper control has actually been quite sloppy. Normally Clem is a lot tidier with his execution than that. This has been a very fast third command center. Hellion Banshee is gonna keep him alive, but when you start sending those Hellions across the map right now, you're actually very susceptible to Zergling run-bys. I don't think that's what he really wants to be doing. Reynor doesn't have a ton of Zerglings right now, but the problem for Clem is that he doesn't know that. Okay, now we have seen a lot of games of Terran versus Zerg on this map as of late. And anytime it goes the distance, Terran wins. That's what goes through my mind. But seriously, when's the last time I have seen a long game of TVZ on this map where Zerg wins? It seems to be incredibly uncommon these days. Terrans have gotten very good at slowly turtling up and trying their very best to secure their half of the map. And obviously there are opportunities for the Zergs, don't get me wrong. But it sometimes looks like it may very well depend on the Terran making a critical error, rather than the Zerg playing really well. Maybe Reynor can prove me wrong though. He decides to go for a 5-minute lair. Very quick 4th base at the bottom of the map. Banshee is gonna find this right at the very beginning. Okay. That's nice. I don't think he's gonna be able to kill it though. So this is a very conventional build right now from Reynor. I'm curious to see what Reynor's approach is, because I don't think he wants to play a long game. I'd be very surprised. Clem has looked absolutely deadly in the late game. And we already saw some of that earlier on in this series. This Hellion jump I also do not love. Much like the Reapers before it, I feel like those Hellions died unnecessarily. Banshee comes in fully cloaked. There's an Overseer coming. Oh, plenty of energy for transfusion. Slight little mistake right there as well for Reynor. Okay. So after these two have shown us a masterclass of how to play the game, they've decided, you know what? Let's chill for a little bit. Let's make some uncharacteristic errors for the fans. Let's make sure we don't look like robots. Execute Diamond League.exe. Yep, no console, another drone. Where's the Overseer? It's coming in. Little mistakes that usually aren't made. Hey. You can see as well that Reynor is trying his very best to not make mistakes. But sometimes I've noticed when it rains it pours, right? Like when you start making mistakes in a game of StarCraft, you start playing on autopilot. Now, obviously these guys' autopilot is still miles better than I will ever be able to play. But usually when stuff goes wrong, everything goes wrong. You have to be able to do like a mental reset sometimes. Much easier said than done. But I think if you've played a lot of, well, if you tried to compete in anything, I'm sure that this is the case. But if you've played a lot of StarCraft 2, at least that's a good example I can give you. It's very obvious that sometimes you're in a game where right from the very start, you're like, okay, this is going terribly. And normally, if it would be a ladder day, right? If you're just playing games of 1v1, you can just GG out and go into the next game. It sucks, but it is what it is, right? You have to be able to mentally reset yourself from situations where you're playing a little suboptimally, when you're playing in a tournament, of course. I think that's actually a skill that is very difficult to develop. I feel like some pro gamers, like for example Dark doesn't care about that at all. Like Dark doesn't even think about those sorts of things. He's like, no, I'm immediately moving on to the next part of the plan. I'm not really too worried about, you know, my feelings and all that. But there are many situations where you have to be able to reset. Nice splits against those mines. Really lovely engagement there as well by those Marines. Tucked between the edge of the map and the gas geyser. Couple spores here. They're gonna make it a bit tough. Hive coming up. Would love to see a scan here from Clem to get rid of these tumors. now that they're still fresh. Because given enough time, Reynor is going to spread those all around the map. Ooh, double lurker den. Whoa, that's a double lurker den all the way. Whoa, that's a double lurker den. Double lurkers. Oh my god. That's a very old meme. Does anybody remember the double rainbow guy? No? Okay, fine. I'll shut up. This is like a 2011 YouTube meme about a guy getting very excited about a double rainbow. I don't think that man was entirely sober. Fun fact, by the way, when you have double lurker den, and not a lot of people know this, lurkers actually morph in twice as fast. So when you have two lurkers... No, I'm lying. That's a lie. You can obviously upgrade... Yeah, exactly. Both of them at the same time. But other than that, there's no benefit. So this is going to, create an interesting strategy for Reynor, though. There's a chance that he doesn't have any of the... Yeah, he's got the speed upgrade for the Hydra, but not the ranged upgrade for the Hydra yet. I think the plan is to make a whole lot of lurkers and then to suddenly catch the Terran player off guard. He's been playing survival again this entire game so far, and he's doing alright. Creep spread is looking good. Economy, 89 drones. Here's the lurkers coming up. So these lurkers are going to be fully upgraded at about minute 10. That is earlier than you would normally expect it here as Terran. And obviously it's before we really see any ghost transition or anything like that. There's the Nidus network coming up. Double Nidus! Double Nidus! Oh my god. It's starting to look like a double Nidus. Everything comes in twos today. Alright, well, one of the lurker dens is going to die. Never mind. It may die later. Oh my god. This is a Zerg minced meat grinder over here, man. You go to the butchers, you ask for some minced Zergling. Jeez. So that spoiled the surprise. Can they still get something done, though? I love this move out here from Clem. Because he realizes, oh snap, this is a double lurker den opener. That means that the upgrades are going to hit like a truck. If I can make my opponent's lurkers... Oh, Ryder's trying to wait. Oh, hold fire! Oh, he gets it. Okay. I like the move out here from Clem because he knows he bought himself at least enough time with that push. Where that second lurker den was essentially nullified. This is so much sloppier than the previous games, it's a bit surprising. Yeah, it's still some high-level StarCraft, of course. These guys are playing very good, but you can see that the fatigue is starting to hit. They've already been playing for quite a while. Double Nidus. I think double Nidus is actually kind of neat, because Terrans will rarely leave enough units behind to actually defend. There's not even that many units, I don't think, in a Nidus Worm. He's not even using 2 of them. Yeah, he's just using all of the... Ooh, okay, all of the units that he's got at his disposal. Mostly using the lurkers as a... Or the Nidus, rather, as a distraction. Like, there are a couple lurkers in it, but it's not really that big of a commitment right now from the Zerg. It's like 8 lurkers or so. Okay. Keep in mind that the only point Reynor has won so far is when he decided to go for an all-in. Right? He decided to go for a 2-base queen drop. He's now finding himself in a really solid advantage, or with a really solid advantage in a macro game. But this is Oceanborn, and in the late game this seems like a phenomenal map for Terran. Clem is starting to build up the command centers. 31 and 13 kills. He's starting to build up the command center, or as Clem likes to call it, Centre de Command. I don't know. I'm assuming he plays with the French version. And he's going to be able to get a lot of mules. And they're going to be phenomenal when it comes to mining real fast. So all of this worker damage is nice. All this economical harassment is great and all, but if Clem manages to build up his... where's the Medivacs? Did you guys... What happened to the Medivacs? Oh, you guys were sent... Oh, no, you guys were... That's these lads right over here. Sorry, we're about a half minute back in the game. These guys are just sent out. What happened to you? Jimmy, go! But sir, there's no Medivacs! Jimmy, I told... Just go, man. The Medivacs will come soon, I promise. Well, at least they got the console on the hatch. It's like the reverse of the second Wings of Liberty mission. Okay, alright. Finally, that pesky overseer gets dealt with. That's been providing so much vision for the Zerg player to pop down all of those Niduses. Nidai. Nidusi. I don't know what the plural of Nidus is. Anyways, the command center count is growing. We've got 4. 2 more that can grow little orbital hats. I think if he makes a few, like probably like 3 or so more, Clem's economy is gonna be insane. He's already starting up the Liberator transition. Second starport coming up. What was looking like a really good game for Zerg is still looking like a good game for the Zerg. But Clem has been incredibly good at not dying. One of the ghosts did not get picked up, for there wasn't room in the plane. Double Knight is once again going on the left side of the map, and this is annoying to Clem. You can notice here that Clem is not quite prepared against Double Knightus. I mean, he's doing fine, but I'm a little afraid that at some point one of those bad boys is gonna really properly slip through the cracks. And this might just be the one, actually. Yeah, that Terran army was way too close together. 15 SCVs fall as well as collateral damage. A couple of the lurkers pop back into the worm. They're gonna, continue on the other side instead. Another knight is here in the middle of the map. Some good splits right now from Reynor as well at the front, who really doesn't have to pay much attention to those lurkers. Maybe you should have paid a little bit more, because all of them are now dead. Okay. Can Reynor continue to push? I like the double lurker and the double Nidus, actually. I wasn't entirely sold on it. I almost thought he was making a mistake. What's better than 1 Nidus? 2 Nidus. What's better than 2 Nidus? 3? Planetary goes down. I'm just saying, maybe we need to go 17 Nidus. Has anybody ever tried spamming the Nidus sound effect on the Terran's base? We're now even putting a Nidus down to block the expansion. What if you put down multiple Niduses at the same time? Does the sound effect overlap? Does it strengthen it? What if you put down 17 Niduses at the same time? Do you blast out the Terran's earphones? I'm assuming Blizzard thought of that. They were certainly gonna give that a shot. You just hear the scream. That's all they hear. Yeah, these little run-bys here are I don't know. I feel like Clem is a little out of it in this game. He's still playing real well, but it's not quite as tidy. Like, it doesn't make sense to do a full push like that up north with only ghosts. Ghosts are good, but they're not strong at killing structures. That's like the only thing they're not good at. Don't say that out loud, though, because they might be good at that as well next week. If there's like another balance update. Ghosts now deal bonus damage to armor. No! Blizzard, no, that's not what I meant! I think they're already a little bit too well-rounded, man. They don't need to also be good against structures. Great gameplay right here by Reynor, though. He notices the mistakes, and he's immediately overwhelming it. Oh, the ghosts. They get surrounded. Honestly, making this many ghosts into somebody who's mostly playing Hydraling Bane with some lurkers for support is not usually the way to do it either. I think 12 ghosts is okay, but there have been a lot of ghosts in this game. And there are unit compositions where ghosts are actually a nice supplemental unit rather than the main army. Did the, oh yeah. The fusion core died. He never got the... Wait, did he ever... I thought he already made one. Maybe he canceled it earlier. I thought I saw it on the production tab, but... Anyways, he doesn't yet have the advanced ballistics research. When you have 8 liberators, it's a little surprising to not see that upgrade done yet. There's once again an infestor right up here on the high ground. Okay. Now, Reynor is stealing one of the bases here of the Terran. This is usually a Terran base. Liberator being annoying. Hydra, though, is going to be able to make short work of it. I'm a little afraid for this infestor right over here, man. If Clem gets his army fungled, he's going to be in so much trouble. This is awkward. One Zergling was sent in as a sacrifice, and there's the fungal growth. The infestor is long dead as well, but the same can be said for a lot of these Terran units. There's enough Hydras here to just walk behind all of those libs, and they are certainly going to get pwned. Okay. Command center dies. There are more to choose from. Yeah, there's immediately a fresh one that just had the scaffolding removed by the SCV. It's already up in the air. Clem is finding himself 50 supply behind. I think Reynor is just about ready to go in for the killing blow. +3/+3 is finishing. Significant power spikes. He stole one of the bases that normally is the Terrans. Clem has not really been able to do much against it, even though he's seen it. He just doesn't have the troops right now. He's still busy fighting here in the middle of the map. Another fungal! Hey, GG. And that means that it all comes down to this. We find ourselves in game number 5 of a best of 5 series on the map site Delta. Okay. Let's see. What can we do this time around? I feel like the previous game on Oceanborn was really well done by Reynor, but we did see a bunch of sloppy mistakes from Clem. It started right at the very beginning with him, I think, accidentally making a second Reaper. Because he just sort of ran the Reaper onto creep and it just immediately died. But if he didn't mean to make the Reaper, why did we not have a rally point set for it, right? And then the Hellions also dove really deep, but they didn't really achieve all too much. I feel like overall, we saw like mass ghost drops to try and kill structures, which doesn't really work all too well. I feel like overall that game was a little bit on the sloppy end of things. If I have to describe all of the games that I've seen Clem, well, play over the last couple weeks, it's all been very surgical. It's all been very precise. And I feel like that previous game was lacking a little bit of polish. Well managed, of course, by Reynor, who decided to go for, well, very standard Zerg gameplay. Nothing all too crazy. He made a few mistakes, I guess, but I really like the attempt at the double Nidus, or rather the double Lurker, and then the follow-up with double Nidus is pretty sweet. I would actually like to see a little bit more of that, especially when Zerg players go like 85, 90-ish drones. It seems like double Nidus is not a bad play whatsoever. Anyways, looks like we are once again gonna go into a comfortable build. A comfortable but difficult one to execute. How many Reapers are we going to produce? The norm is, of course, 3. He can go into just 2. He could go all the way up to 5. Main problem is when you go more than 3 usually. It's possible for the Zerg to go, so say for example, like a Baneling bust. We've seen Dark do that a bunch of times, especially on this map. But that's Dark. And I don't really know exactly if Reynor would be keen to do that in such an important event, but I'm assuming that we're gonna go triple Reaper. Triple Reaper into good old Marines. Are we gonna queue another one? Nope. Yes. Okay. 4 Reapers. This is a delayed third base right now from Reynor. Normally you spend the resources right here on a reactor and a tech lab, as said, but yeah, the main issue you can run into when you make too many Reapers is that you just die to Zerg aggression. Like, the Reapers are really good at bullying Zerg in the earlier stages of the game. They're strong against the Queens and obviously good as well against the Zerglings. But at some point when, well, the swarm starts swarming, you need something a little bit better. So he did cancel that 4th Reaper. Only 3. Probably just started it up. Ooh. Brenda, where are we going? Ooh. Yep, that was actually really cute. You need a few successful grenades to walk your queen. But that was successful. Really good start actually for Clem. Not only has he secured that the opponent doesn't have a third base yet, getting a kill on the queen is massive, and now sniping that drone as well. Okay, this just gets the momentum going. Any Zergling kills here are nice. Those Reapers are gonna be dead. I don't know if they realized it when they got sent across, but... Alright. A queen, a drone snipe, and then 4 Zerglings for 3 Reapers is well worth it, because obviously one of the nice advantages of those Reapers is that they only cost 50 minerals, 50 gas, which means that you naturally start to accumulate a lot of minerals, and when you have 400 of them, you can build a 3rd command center. If Stimpak is, well, done, life is very comfortable. And that's exactly what he's aiming for right now. We're about a minute away from that, but I don't think Reynor's really going to be able to do much. So, Reynor in the meantime just remade that queen that he lost. He also started up the 3rd. But you can see he's already oversaturated in the natural because that base has been so delayed by those Reapers that he's forced a long distance mine. Okay. Medevac's coming. Could certainly go for a Medevac drop as well. I really like the positioning, by the way, on those Zerglings. So there's a lot of vision here for the Zerg player all around the map. Ready to prepare against any move out here from the Terran player. We have to keep an eye out on where these Medevacs decide to go. There's barracks number 3. Clem finishing up the supply depot. That's gonna prevent him from being supply blocked. And this is already off to a much cleaner start here. This is like the 16 Marine drop, but then with like 13 Marines. You'd imagine that we could call this a 13 Marine drop at that point, but no, that's not what it is. This is ultimately a 2-1-1. It's just that it started off with triple CC and then also some Reaper play. This attack hits about 15 seconds later than the conventional 16 Marine drop that we used to see back in the day. But Clem got so much more in those 15 seconds. Like, the gameplay is still... Players are still getting so much better, man. It's less Marines, but only by 3. And he gets a bunch of Reapers, a lot of early game control, and a 3rd command center for it in return. Okay, so we should see some more siege tanks being produced here in just a moment. Good defense here, though, by Reynor. With this many queens, it's really hard for Terran to get much done. It's important to leave some queens behind as well to inject. There we go. Double Evo chamber. Baneling speed has already begun. We should see a 4th hatchery, yeah, very quickly, and maybe even a 5th. Either as like a future expansion, or as, for example, a macro hatch. Meaning a hatchery, by the way, that is just meant for larva generation. Usually that one gets planted over here, but very frequently we see a macro hatchery also building on location. Yep. So this is essentially just a base that he can transfer drones to if he has them available, but it's really mostly just for larva generation. Used to be popular to build them inside of your base, and you do still see that from time to time, but Zerg players in general are more fond of just building it on location, because if you lose one, you can transfer those drones that were mining to another location. It's just a little bit more susceptible to aggression. 2nd factory coming up at the front, +1/+1. Armory at the conventional time. All of this is looking good for Clem, who's now going to start piling on the pressure once more. Okay, if we can get a kill over here on any of these bases, that would be massive, but that's exactly why Reynor decided to go into... We did have a bit of a roll-by, apparently. That's exactly why Reynor decided to go into that Baneling speed research. It just finishes right now. Perfect timing on the base defense. Perfect timing as well on the offense on the other side of the map. So he gets 7 SCVs, whilst also keeping his 4th base alive, and he's going to continue droning. Upon getting that little victory, instant infestation pit. Burrow coming up too. I like the idea of Burrow, actually. Not a bad play. still have Zerglings patrolling. Vision as well all around the map. We don't yet have a 4th command center for Clem. Okay, you have to keep an eye out on exactly what the plan is as far as that goes. Is he going to go into barracks 6, 7, and 8, or is he going to go into a 4th CC instead? I would imagine it's going to be a command center, especially with him starting up all of the other upgrades that are not going to kick in for several minutes. But it does mean he needs to get something done with his army soon. In the meantime, there's a hive coming up. Reynor's looking once more, I think, to go into the good old... Actually, no. I think he wants to maybe go into Ultras here. Setting up a surround. It's a little disjointed, but the rest of the army does flank from the front as well. Gets all of the siege tanks cleaned up. Expertly handled right there by Reynor. I love that engagement for him. Very good. Queens in the meantime relaying those creep tubers, and the rest of the map, we have a ton of creep still to go around. There's the 4th CC. About halfway done. The only thing that's not going perfectly here for Reynor is the fact that these upgrades are a little bit disjointed. I would have not minded seeing an extra gas. Because I think this ultimately is in transition towards Ultras. The problem is that he doesn't have enough gas to make that transition happen properly. He's very busy microing here at the front. Nice retargeting by Clem. Manual retargeting right there on those Widow Mines. Rather than allowing the Zerg player to split, he microed against that. There is barracks 6, 7, and 8 coming up. We'll probably see a Ghost Academy as well in the near future. So they can go to school. I'm assuming that's what the Ghost Academy is for. I don't know. This is just Marines. Matter of fact, drops are being obnoxious. Marines are 50 minerals each. Pretty cheap. So they can be sacrificed quite easily. Reynor's gonna continue adding on drones. So he's now at Hive Tech, but he doesn't have any gas. Like, he doesn't have enough gas to go into Adrenal Glands, to go into an Ultra Cavern, to go even into +2 melee. And this is all gonna slow things down a ton here for Reynor. Like, he's gonna have a very large amount of minerals, but very little gas. I think he's starting to feel the pressure, because that's a relatively basic mistake. That ratio of minerals and gas is just not that ideal. It's gonna start stacking up a ton. Like, if you have too much gas at this point, you could even make a Viper or two, right? Rarely have those ever not been worth it. Really? Hydra then right now? Okay. So he prioritizes +2 armor and then goes into Hydras instead? I would imagine we're gonna go Lurkers here eventually, but maybe he's looking at this and he wanted to originally go Ultras, but he's realized that it's no longer possible because of the gas situation. So he's making a bit of a pivot. It does take a while, and that means that the Hive Tech is essentially useless up to this point. I would have loved to see at least Adrenal Glands. 40% attack speed for Zerglings is real good. Dude, Clem manually retargeting with the mines here the entire time is actually kind of nutty. He's doing it whenever he can. Yeah, I think Reynor has decided I can't really go into Ultras anymore. Terran's already got too much eco, too many great upgrades. And Ultras aren't really that good in the first place. They're good when you're ahead, but not so great when you're kind of, yeah. I wouldn't call this behind, but... So the question at that point becomes, though, what do you make right here as the Zerg player, right? Like, what is the goal? So yeah, we're playing survival, and he hasn't really taken any real damage. But he's also not improving his army composition very much. Whereas Clem is doing that very silky smooth transition towards proper late game Terran. He's going into Ghosts, he's going into Liberators, he's building up his additional command centers. And in the meantime, whenever I glance at the Zerg side of things, it's like nothing's really happening, right? Like, there's no progression here. We have some upgrades coming up, but the creep spread is not getting any better. The bases acquired aren't really being improved. There have been a lot of workers, sure, and Reynor is not even remotely close to, like, falling out of this game. But as time goes on, Clem is going to find himself in a much better spot. 3-3 is now done. Well, almost anyways. For the infantry units, it's going to make them significantly better, because these links still do not have adrenal. They still don't even have +2 melee. All of those fights that we've been witnessing this entire time are now going to get easier for Terran. Every single one of the Marines deals +1 additional damage and takes one less rather, damage from every single one of the Zerglings. Reynor prioritizing the +3. That means that +2 is incredibly late. And I'm a little afraid that the cost efficiency from here, just from the good old Marine Marauder Medevac army, is going to get too good. You really need to be able to match that. Unless you can get a good Widowmine hit, or sorry, like a Widowmine hit on the Terran's army, or, for example, a Baneling detonation. But that would mean that you're relying on the Terran player to make a mistake. And that doesn't really seem like a great strat overall. Especially not against Clem, who's purposely mixing in Cyclones, by the way. This is another Cyclone he's building. He's already made a few of them. I don't know if I like that too much. Yeah, he's making a third Cyclone right now. There's no way he's going to do a misclick 3 times, right? Fusion Core, coming up. Liberator ranged. We'll be hitting the battlefield in a few minutes. Clem has soaked up as many of the mineral fields as he needs right now. He's got 3 orbitals. Making some more though. Okay, now he's got 4. Yeah. 4 orbitals. 4 orbitals. Hydra ranged coming up at 14.5 minutes. Together with +2 melee. Like, those upgrades are all very disjointed. Fight off creep here. Not ideal for Reynor. Nothing to be gained for him over here. Clem is dancing, but he's also attacking in 3 different angles all at once. He's got little pockets of units all over the map, and he seems to be microing all of it. Maybe these burrowed Banes can get something done? Okay, yeah, they killed like 4 or 5 Marines. Okay, fair. Clem already pre-splitting a lot of his troops as well. Another fight off creep. Reynor keeps bleeding out more and more stuff. Liberator here on the left side of the map now kills one of the queens and is denying an entire base from mining. Another expansion falls. And this is where Clem suddenly finds like an extra gear. It's like he suddenly found additional speed. Maybe he's been saving up his turbo boost, man. Yeah, so Reynor's plan is to try and fungal or to like try and get the Terran army to walk over a bunch of burrowed Banes. That's the plan. It's a plan that can work. I just feel like it's very unreliable. Keep in mind that this did get nerfed in the most recent patch. Infestor's now not as good in that department. Great scan, instant EMP, instant snipe as well on that unit. Terran army is going to be able to back off. There's a lot of Hydralisks available at this point, but these Hydras do not have any attacking upgrades. +0 on those Hydras at this point. They have armor, sure, but I mean, they only have 90 hit points in the first place. Yeah, I'm not sure what you build right now as Zerg, to be honest. He was close to 100 workers. But this army here from the Terran is not allowing any Zerg late game. So Reynor kind of stuck playing a mid-game army against the late-game Terran. It is one of the great frustrations of the Swarm at the moment. Incredible cost efficiency right here from Clem, dude. The guy is just looking insanely strong. Another fungal, sure, but it doesn't deal damage anymore. I mean, a little bit, but there's no real follow-up right here for the Zerg, so these units can actually just stand their ground. Medevacs are out of energy. We still do not have the Liberator ranged upgrade. We still do not have the energy improvement upgrade for the Medevacs either. Clem could have certainly had both of those upgrades done by now, but he doesn't need it. Dominating performance by the French Terran. He obtains the victory 3-2.